The next thing we're doing on the S10 is we're going to be building a skid plate. We need something to protect the oil pan, the transmission pan, and the transfer case. Now, I've gotten super lucky so far to not have broken any of those things or smashed them on a rock. I have broken a drive line because the drive line on this thing is just miles long. Now, with the Washington Rocklander route coming up in about a month, I really need skid plates and to build a rear bumper because the departure angle on this rear bumper is really bad. I smashed it on all kinds of stuff, and I really don't care because I know that I'm going to be replacing it and building a new one. But as far as a skid plate, we need to do that. That is an absolute must. So today we're building a skid plate. Now, I'd really like to use up a lot of this scrap metal that I've been collecting over the years for other projects. I have this piece of the roll cage from the RX-7 that I cut out. So I think I have enough material here, besides maybe a couple pieces, that I can build a skid plate. So the base of this thing, I'm going to make a tubular structured frame, and we're going to be using this affordable bender for the first time. I've had this for over a year, never used it. We're going to be using that today. And I think I'm going to take, this already has a couple of bends in it. I'm going to take this, clean all these off of here, make this tube a nice smooth piece of tube. We got to figure out the basic idea shape of what we want to work with. So the amount of room we have here is enough to cover the oil pan right here, is about 11 inches. Because we're only going to be able to go to about right here because we got axle, we got drive line, all that stuff we had to consider. And then we need it to clear this drive line as well. So we're going to be at about 19 inches. So 11 inches on the front, 19 on the back. So this side will be fairly straight, and then it'll curve over to this side right here. And then what we're going to be using to basically make this bolt in is these Barnes four-wheel drive tube adapters. So these are like bolt in for roll cages. I use them for my front bumper. I'm going to be using them when I build the rear bumper. These Barnes four-wheel drive things are pretty sweet. They just interlock with each other just like this, and then you can bolt it in from both sides and it clamps down really nice. Make sure you guys take advantage of 10% off Barnes four-wheel drive for your project. Use the link in the description or the code MuddyBeards at checkout. Again, just use the link in the description. It'll automatically give you 10% on all your Barnes four-wheel drive order. So the tube bender is working exactly how I'd expect it to, but the issue is me and my expectations of this piece of tube. Because it already had two bends in it, I can't even get a 90 degree out of one side because it bottoms out. It comes off the roller on this side. So I get to this roller right here, and then it comes around this bend here, and it no longer is bending the tube because it's not straight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just cut a section out of this, move this side to within this part of the cardboard, and then we're going to weld them back together. I have the tube basically generically where I want it. I can just weld these two pieces on this tube adapter, and then I can cut these tubes to length to attach them to either side of this, and I'll be able to set it up a lot easier that way. So the way these tubes are coming into this cross member is not at an exact 90-degree angle like this guy right here. This would be a 90 that I would cut the notch at, but these tubes are not coming in at a 90 degree, and this is not straight either. So I used my super cheap little angle guy right here, and we're measuring off this bend here, and it's coming in about 85 degrees, and then it's about the same on this one right here on this side. So I'll notch both of these tubes at 85 degrees, and that'll give us a little bit of wiggle room, and it should be just about what we need. So I'm still using this Harbor Freight tube notcher. This thing's 50 bucks. I've built a couple roll cages, a couple bumpers, and a bunch of random stuff with it. Does it still work? Yes. Is it not great anymore? Yes. You can see the bushing. There's a bronze bushing inside of here, and that thing is super loose, and it just comes out. When I take this out and I pull, it just, you might see it in the video when I start doing it, but I need to replace it. I did get my $50 worth out of it for sure. I've been holding off on replacing it because when I step up to the next level, it's going to be $300 to $500. I'm still trying to decide which tube notcher I want to use. If you guys recommend a tube notcher, I have an idea of what I want to use and buy, but I'm saving up right now to try and buy it. Leave that down in the comments. So this guy right here at 0 is our straight 90 degrees. So I move this to 5, so we're gonna get, 85, which is basically what I measured at. It's because this says 0, 5, 10, 15. It has different angles, so I'm just subtracting 5 degrees from 90. So we'll be able to get that 85 around, because this thing wobbles around. It's not perfect, but it works. I have the hoop up pretty much exactly where I want it, and now we got to make these pieces right here. So we got our guys right here that are all tacked together, and these connectors right here, I want to make sure that it attaches from the bottom, so when I hit stuff, it's pushing up on that and not pulling away from the bolts. So I don't want the bolts to be holding this, the weight of the vehicle. I want these two plates to be holding the weight of the vehicle. So we have our notches, we have our extension, and I also took these apart and marked them on here, and then I leveled them out. So hopefully these will be as close to as level as possible. I got this thing in here exactly where I'm going to have it. I did have to make a tweak to this side right here. You can see this catalytic converter is in the way of this tube right here. So unfortunately, I had to cut this tack and then make this bar at an angle. There's other ways that I could have done it, but I'm going to have to figure out how to make the plate that's going to go across. I'll figure that out later, but we have exhaust clearance right there. We're clearing the oil pan, clearing all the exhaust. Everything is all lined up, ready to go. So we need to clean up this guy right here so we can start tacking everything in, and then we can unbolt and bolt it up as we're test fitting things. But it's moving along. This main hoop fully welded up, and now we just need to actually plate the whole thing. So I have my scrap bin down here. All this is just sheet metal here to here that's unusable. So I've been digging around. I dug pretty deep in here, and this guy right here, this is a pretty big plate. It goes all the way throughout the whole bottom. So with the goal of making this skid plate absolutely free, besides these bolt-in tie-in pieces right here, other than buying those, I want everything to be made with scrap metal, even if I have to kind of patch it together, which I think I might have to. But let's pull this plate out from the bottom here and see what we're working with. I don't know if I could have planned this any more perfect. This is 3/16 plate, and this is going to fit perfectly. I'm going to have to make a different piece that goes at a different angle in this area anyways, and it's missing this piece right here, and this goes perfectly to here, and this one actually goes perfectly to the end of this one. Well, I was just wanting to test fit it to make sure all these bolt holes still line up and I can bolt it up. And it bolts up just fine. It's actually doesn't move much just from this right here. So I'm happy with this. We have our skid plate here, our starter here. We're looking straight up from the bottom of the truck. And there is an original piece of IFS right here. This is super beefy. It's boxed in at the top. And there's a hole right here, which I believe I should be able to build a capture nut and put it in here, kind of like a TJ style rear suspension nut, and put it up in here and capture a nut on this side. And that'll be plenty strong for the front. And then I can just use this, like this 1/4 inch plate right here to bolt it to here. I'm gonna have to put a couple of bends in it. So this is that same IFS bracket from the other side, but this side I had started to kind of try to cut it out off of the frame, but it was very difficult to do, and as you can see, I started cutting it and I gave up on it because I ran out of time and I just wanted to get this thing on the trail. So I'm gonna use this still, but I'm gonna need to clean that up, weld part of it. I've actually already bent some of this back. I hit it with a hammer and it was all the way touching the frame right there. But I'm gonna clean this all up, weld this top section right here, and then bend more of this out, and then weld all the way down, and then we'll be able to use this as our frame side mounting point. I ended up having to weld a whole bunch across the top and across the side, and then this big one that you saw earlier down the middle here, because this side I spent a bunch of time trying to actually cut it off, and I gave up obviously. But there is two cuts up here and another cut down here. So I ended up having to weld this and work on it a bunch more than I had anticipated. But we're all done. This is as good as it's going to get. So I've just been making a bunch of little brackets, little tabs, test fitting, tack welding, doing all that stuff. It's super tedious and boring. Well, I've just been filming so much of that. It's already a ton in this video. You can see you got a bunch of little brackets and tabs and stuff that I'm making for this front mount to make it work. But once I get all those all done and ready to go, painted, I'll show you how everything is going to go together. Okay, we got the skid plate. We got both of our mounting in the front, mounting in the rear, all done. Our tabs on the skid plate itself are fully welded on. So on the passenger side, we got the 1/4" bent bar with our captured nut here. And on the driver's side, because of clearance with the upper control arm, we had to use this piece of tube right here down to 1/4". And this is also attached 1/4" here with a captured nut. So last thing we need to do is fully weld this main part of the skid plate and then paint it. I actually think I'm going to put a bar from here to here, welded across, maybe in like 2 spots. Ah, that's hot. It's still hot because I just finished welding that. Got my knuckles. I might add a couple of support crossbars in here when I'm just finished welding everything. And then we're going to trim this, make it look a little bit better. So this passenger side support bar, I got 2 bends in it, cut it, bend it, re-welded it. And then to support the whole side, I took this plate right here, made this custom little random plate jobby that goes all the way down the side. So I was worried about this thing bending and squishing. So with this support down the side of it and covering where these 2 bends are, I have a lot less worry about this thing actually bending under, the full weight of the truck. Hey guys, we're venturing into the backyard. Here's the RX-7, and the Jeep is right there, all nice and cozy and tucked away. We are looking at the scrap pile. So we got TJ rock sliders, S10 exhaust, Montero springs, Honda Fit springs. I think this section of the TJ skid plate is going to be a perfect transfer case skid plate. So let's grab it and see what we're working with. So I made a frame here to skin with this transfer case old skid plate that I had off the TJ, and we got our bolt holes here. I ended up just tapping holes that were already in the frame. It was super easy and it bolts right up. So we got 2 bolt holes here. Don't mind the extra guys there, kind of made some mistakes. So we're just going to skin this, cut this section out. I know it's not optimum. We got some drain holes and some weird stuff going on here, but I'm just going to cut this out and we're going to see how it fits on here. Here's the engine skid plate, all wrapped up, painted, welded up, ready to bolt in. And here is our Jeep skid plate turned into an S10 skid plate. Pretty happy with it, the way it turned out. I think it's gonna be plenty strong for what I'm trying to do with it. Both of these need a little bit more time with paint and stuff, but I just ran out of time because this thing needs to be on the truck like yesterday because I'm leaving for a trip with it. Basically, as soon as I'm done filming this, I need to pack because I need to leave. So for the mounts, we got our 3 holes right here that I just tapped. These holes were already there. I just tapped all 3 of these holes. And then we got our mounting tabs on our other cross member right here. I welded on a captured nut on the top, so all you gotta do is just bolt it in from the bottom. Don't have to worry about any nuts or anything. So we got 2 mounts, one right here, and then the other one right here. Well guys, me and the S10 made it. We are at Reeder Foothills ORV Park. This is stop number 1 on the Washington Rocklander Route. I got this thing kind of flexed out a little bit right here so I can pop under there and check out the skid plates that we just installed. So we have been smashing everything under here on rocks. You can see my drive shaft. We already hit it on a bunch of rocks. It looks like I lost a weight right there. That sucks. I won't know how bad it is until I actually take it on the highway. But we got here, 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 here. Like I said, this drive line just reaches out and touches everything. We're gonna have to build a 2-piece drive shaft or something to counteract this. But we got our skid plates. You'll see that skid plates look like they have been untouched so far. Everything's holding up really well. Anyways guys, thanks for watching and we will see you in the next video.